Let's talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This theory suggests that unless people's needs are met, then they are not able to learn effectively. And this will also have an impact upon your group development. So, first off, people's basic needs must be met. The basic need of food and nutrition. So, if people coming to your class are not eating or have skipped meals, then certainly that would affect their ability to learn. Also, do they have shelter? And not only so, a place to sleep, and also do they feel safe in their place where they live? Now, I want to point out you would not personally have any control over Maslow's hierarchy, but it's important for you to know about it because sometimes your class isn't going as you would expect. And a lot of that, or one of the biggest reasons, just could be Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, another need, do they feel loved? Do they feel cared for? Are they in a healthy relationship? And also, do they have high self esteem? Do they feel self love? Do they feel happy with their appearance, with how they look, with their health? And again, you wouldn't have any control over these things, but these needs impact people's ability to learn. I want you to keep in mind that in the course of a woman's lifetime, she's very vulnerable when she's pregnant, and if she's likely to experience abuse in the course of her life, it would be when she is pregnant. And that's what the statistics say. This is important information for you to know because although your class, you wouldn't necessarily know this, emotional abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse surpasses all nationalities, all incomes. So it doesn't have an exact face. I always think, oh, when everybody comes to my class, they're happy and they look happy. And so I would personally not know if they're in an unhealthy relationship. But you should know the statistics. And it's something like 1 in 4 women, or about 20% of all women, are in an abusive relationship, in a form of abuse. So, what I would suggest is that you pay attention to that, have resources that you can give to people, and also have clear, what I say, boundaries, meaning know what you're good at and know, I guess, how much you can do. Sometimes just having the pamphlets in the back, having phone numbers for people to call is really a great thing that you can do. I don't have any specific stories to share, except I will tell you this one time, and this is when I was a very new teacher. The couples all came to the first class. And to class two, the father was not present with this one couple. Although sometimes people don't come, you don't know the reason. It could be working schedule. But I happened to come up to the mother and say, "Oh, would you like me to help you with your breathing?" And she was like, "Yes." And in the course of that, she told me the story between class one and class two. They broke up. And so this is when I had time where I could listen to people's stories. I gave her my number and I just befriended her. You can't always do that for people, but at this moment I could. Also assess kind of your match with people. I did assess she wouldn't be overly needy, so it ended up not being a bad thing, but I would not do that probably now at this point in my life. So keep in mind boundaries and what you can do. And when I say boundaries, also what is your training? Since I'm not trained to counsel people in an abusive situation, I would not take that burden on. So know what you professionally can and cannot do. But what I will tell you is, interestingly enough, he came to the third class. He came back and he brought a new person that he was with. I know that's really kind of interesting. And um, it ended up working out okay. I mean, there was nothing I could personally do because I was teaching a class and he just snuck in and sat in the back. He didn't come to any more classes. There were about 6 weeks of classes. Um, and when this woman went in to have her baby, I was working in a hospital and my boss didn't mind if I helped people sometimes. So I went up to the triage and stayed with her till her mother came in. So I tell this kind of anecdote just to say, what do you think? Since I was able to provide some level of support for her through the class, and and just a little bit of support as she started her labor. What do you think? Was she able to learn something? Was she able to get something from the class? She was. I know you were going to say yes. And so that's just an example of why sometimes people can't learn. Again, you can't control if they have support, but I always say you can bring your mom, you can bring your sister, you can bring anybody else to class. And I have had one lady brought her dad to the class with her, so that's fine. But when people's basic needs are met, then they are able to grow. And this growth is called self actualization. And what self actualization is, to be and do that for which you were born. So, self actualization, it works for them because we want them to become the best parents that they're meant to be. So, when their basic needs are met, then they can become the best parents they're meant to be. And I want you to know that self actualization works for you too, to become the best childbirth educator that you're meant to be. And so you have to think, how did you come to sit where you are right at this moment, hearing me talk? A lot of things had to work out in your life. You probably had a good meal, you had a good night's sleep, you're probably not in conflict with anybody right now. And so Maslow's hierarchy works for you too. And now you're in a space where you're able to learn. So one other thing I would always say, I think of childbirth education, it's almost like a luxury because a lot of things have to be going right in your life for you to say, wow, now I want to learn about my pregnancy, about my body, and how to have a wonderful birth experience.